Good morning. And Helma, thank you for the introduction. If we, let's see, this would say forward. Perfect. So I'm going to pace around a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Comau is. As Helma alluded to, we're not really in the process business. We're in the discrete manufacturing industry. Talk a little bit about the automotive industry challenge and how some of those things are affecting us and what we think we can do to help. If you look at Comau, we are a global systems integrator with some products. So we have a robotics business, we have a machining business that makes standard products, and we do systems work in roughly 23 operation centers with the predominant part of our force in the BRIC countries. We're about 1.5 billion euro, headquartered in Turin. The North American headquarters is in Southfield, Michigan. And we have operations throughout the North American region. Roughly about 13,000 employees, but 100 PMI certified project managers. So the key to success in our business is to be able to take a project and launch it on time. When you look at the automotive industry, I don't think that if you went back 10, 15 years that anyone would have predicted that a large automotive company like General Motors would actually enter bankruptcy. I don't know how you could have predicted that. If you did predict that, prior to that happening, I'd like to talk to you about some stock tips later, and maybe you could help me. But at the time, the automotive industry was really a technology engine for discrete manufacturing. And it's turned into that, and now it's slimmed down quite a bit, and we'll talk about what some of those challenges are. I think if you look at the challenges on this screen, they represent, or I would believe they represent, the same challenges you face in the process industry. Human resource constraints, not only the limited number of people that we can hire, but the people that are actually capable of doing the work. Financial constraints, having to adjust to more technology change, the pace at which technology, both materials technology coming into our process, as well as equipment technology coming into the manufacturing requirements. Automotive has also made a change in the fashion sense. If you look at a vehicle today, vehicles are changing the external and interior components at a much faster rate to meet customer styling demands. That puts a huge burden on the manufacturing system. So when you take all of those things, they're challenge enough. If you add kind of the last two parts of it, this huge lightweighting initiative, which has been caused by industry regulation for dramatic increase in CAFE standards, and the knowledge migration, we are facing a major challenge in our business. If you look at that evolution, the original start was mechanical assembly being driven. Then you go into an industrial line. In the mid-'70s, early '80s, we really started to incorporate PLCs, robots, numerical controls into the assembly process. And all of those began to get connected through networks and managed in a different way. If you look at where we're headed, and this is not, again, I believe, not unique to the automotive industry, but is pretty common in our business in general, we are headed for this network of things. In the consumer parlance, they call it the Internet of Things. If you look in a factory, we're consistently being challenged with wireless connectivity requirements, lots more data, the management of profiles of individual devices, which were not intelligent devices before, which now are intelligent devices. If you take that change in just core technology, that would be bad enough. Now add into it lightweighting of materials, the traceability requirements of data, shorter engineering time, all of those things are driving us to change the way we do business. If you look at the business 10 years ago, every automotive manufacturer had a full-time ME department that gave us specifications, and we built whatever they gave us. If you look at it today, a large number of our customers have collaborated on a development of a manufacturing system with us called Comau Flex. The reason for that manufacturing system was to get higher flexibility in the automotive assembly facility, as well as to improve speed to implementation while reducing risk. You are all very familiar with standardization, but maybe not extending that into your mechanical and controls supplier as well as the control system vendor. So today we're doing this more and more with our clients to build multi-model systems that can be put in with reduced risk. The other thing that happens to us is projects get more complicated. So this is a shot inside a framer in a facility. Inside that framer, in under 43 seconds, we're going to put 69 spot welds, and we're going to set the geometry for that vehicle. Now, geometry today is better than it's ever been, and it's a very tight, and it sets the structural integrity for the car. We have to do that in 43 seconds, and it takes us roughly 12 seconds to get in and out of the station. So there's 19 robots that have to go through there. They have to have permission from the PLC. They need all of the sensor data. They need to make sure all the parts are in place. If you take that activity, now throw a piece of carbon fiber in there that has to be glued, or a piece of aluminum that has to be screwed instead of welded. The challenge is only going to get more complicated. This station, a framer, is one of the most complicated stations in an automotive assembly plant. You add those other factors into it, it will become a real challenge. When we look at our business today, we produce thousands and thousands of bits and bytes of data that come out of that assembly line. I don't think I have a customer today that is concerned about the amount of data. The problem they're struggling with is they can't turn it into usable information. So when I look at a manufacturing plant that's running, and when you say, how's it being maintained? How's it being operated? It is traditionally by the folks with the gray hair, or no hair in some cases, and they are the ones who are doing it. We spend, I don't know what the number is, probably 20% of our automation spend in writing and coding diagnostics, which are static the day we put them in. So we write them, we write all those alarms, bells, whistles, buzzers, and then as soon as we start changing the system, we have to go and pay to change all the diagnostics. And in the end, the as-built rarely matches the as-delivered story. So you get this ton of data, you've got new materials and new processes, and in the next 10 years, at least in automotive, we're going to lose 50% of the workforce. So if you take 10,000 people a day for the next 20 years are going to turn 65. And we were talking earlier, and one of our panelists said they're not retiring at the same rate. They're not retiring at the same age, which is probably true, which may extend the window of time before this problem really hurts. But at the end of the day, at least in the automotive sector with systems integrators and the automotive plants we deal with, this is a real problem. When we look at the kids that we hire, most of them would rather have a cell phone and a new computer versus a car. Now, how many of you, when you were of the age of driving and early in your career, would have given up the car for some other device? Yeah, well, there wasn't a cell phone. I understand. Thank you. Appreciate you pointing that out. So, but think about that. That's why I said some other device, by the way. I wasn't trying to. But think about the difference in what they want as new employees. Most of the young hires that we have today in our business are looking to take all kinds of challenges. They don't expect to spend 2 to 3 years learning one part of the process. If you look at this, there's a couple interesting things on here. 52% of teens today have little to no interest in manufacturing. Okay, that just doesn't affect me in automotive. That affects all of you in whatever you're making. We have gotten out of the habit of manufacturing being a truly reputable and exciting place to be, and it's now in dire need of new talent. 37% of teachers say they will only be using digital textbooks. How many of us have got manuals reduced down to the only items that we need out of that manual when we have a fault? Is anybody using video tutorials to solve problems on their floor? I had a dishwasher problem. I didn't get the manual. Went on YouTube, typed it in, said this is my problem with the dishwasher. 3 videos came up, watched the video, took the dishwasher apart, put the dishwasher back together. I don't know anything about a dishwasher. I'd like to think I have some talent, but maybe you don't even have that much talent. And yet with a YouTube video, I took the dishwasher apart. When we deliver documentation today, We don't deliver 600 indexed YouTube videos that you search on to figure out how to change the wrist on a robot or how to replace a servo in some type of control system. So our business is in a state of flux, right? And as a company, as Comau, here are some of the things we think we can do. First of all, today we already deliver all of these things, from monitoring tools to after-sales services. We have 24-hour hotlines. We have all the things that you would expect from a vendor. Yet all of these are based on today's business environment. They're not based on the next generation of employees. So we're going to have to make a change. When we talk to our employees, when we onboard new employees and tell them that no, they cannot connect their Samsung, iPhone, iPad, whatever to the corporate network, they just look at us like, well, why do I want to work for you? So these challenges are pretty big, and they're going to be bigger in the way we deliver systems. If you look at our new requirements, the logic stays the same. I mean, you know, when the clamps close and the body's clamped up and the robots go in, that logic is not going to change. That's the same logic. How we deploy it, how we test it before we deploy it, how we write it, that is going to change. But the logic, the fundamentals didn't change. The diagnostics, the training, the way we get information access, that has to change. What our new employees will expect is very different than what we deliver today. So what I would say to you in closing, and I hope that this has been of some interest to you, but you know, we have an innovation center where we test out and prove out all of our technology. And what we're seeing in the automotive business is more and more of our clients that are coming to us to build a system together with the mechanical, the controls, and the core vendors. For us, we have recently delivered 2 body shops with Siemens. We did all the simulation with Process Simulate. We did the virtual commissioning. We installed these, started them up, launched 2 new vehicles with no quality spills. We tested all of these technology bits and pieces in the Automation Center before we released them. We're going to have to do that more and more virtually. We're going to have to do it with more and more discrete pieces of information that are searchable by our new employees. So over the next 10 years, 50% of the automotive employees are going to be new. And we don't have a way to onboard them and have them run a factory yet. Our current estimate is that it takes about 3 to 5 years to have a new hire out of college be capable of running a line. So if you put that against the time frame of people departing, we're going to be in some trouble. So with that, Andy, I see you're making your way back up here.
Could we please...
So with that, I'd like to say thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Andy.
Yeah.
So
well, great presentation. Thank you.